Do you use Linux? Have you been using Linux for a very long time? Have you ever taken the time to work upstream and help other people with Linux? I have. And I've done more than just help people with Linux. I've helped distributions. I've done packages. I have built debs. I've built RPMs. And I haven't done anything like that for a hot minute, but I've built and contributed package updates. I've even submitted new packages into distributions. I've even paid for Linux distributions before. I have paid that fee for eLive, which is a Linux distribution that specializes in the Enlightenment desktop environment. I have purchased subscriptions for Red Hat Linux in the past, and at this point, I'm contributing $25 monthly to a fund that I produce, or that I manage, that I just throw out random software projects as well as distributions. And why do I do that? And why am I contributing money? Because honestly, when it comes down to it, free and open source software is free most of the time monetarily, but not always. And it's always source available and redistributable. And as a longtime Linux user, where I've used Linux every single day since 2008, it's just one of those things where it's just like after a time you have to wonder, how is it that Canonical manages to pay for itself? How is it that projects such as Debian can continue to exist? And I know and understand that projects such as Void Linux, they don't accept any monetary contributions whatsoever. But at the same time, I want to be able to know that the people working on these packages, these distributions, developing this amazing software that I use every single day, is able to keep doing that. And that's honestly why I pay. That's why I pay money. It's not always $25. It's almost always more than that. But my minimum is $25 every single month. That's $25 I send off to, say, like Mozilla, because I want Mozilla to exist. And yes, I understand that their financial structure is a little bit questionable, but we should probably continue to support Mozilla as much as it might pain you to do that. But what distribution are you using right now? Does it have a corporate entity behind it? Does it have a financial structure set up? One of the very first things I do whenever I'm looking at a new distribution is I want to know where the devs are. I want to know how active they are. Yes, that's great. How quick they are to package backport security fixes. And I also want to know how they're getting compensated for it. And when I'm saying compensated, I'm not always meaning like how much money they're making from it, but I want to know what they're getting out of it. And that's why I just try to be like a friend to these people, and just I understand I know Steve from like Zero Linux. He was pretty upset with me from the last distro hacking, because that's what it is. But I say, but whenever I'm doing like a distro hacking, we're reviewing a distribution, I say ahead of time that, hey, don't take offense to this, but the only things that we're allowed to say are negative. Because that negative feedback, it's worth it. It really is. Now, it's not worth it to the point of like being toxicity. I don't want any negative feedback that I provide a project to be toxic feedback. I used to do that. I don't do that anymore. I'm not going to sit there and say that Fedora is like the worst project ever, because you know they removed codec support from the Mesa stack, which by the way that only affects AMD users. But honestly, you know, they have a reason for doing that, and I support their reasoning for doing that. So as a result, I still love the Fedora project. But you know, like the maintainership for like the Mesa package, can you imagine the response that one person got? I mean, I just pulled up the RPM listings from the package sources, and you can see that Mesa is maintained by this guy here, Ajax. I just found it off of a very quick Google search. It's not hard to find this information. And, you know, I can click on this guy here. And, you know, if I dig down deep enough, I can find ways that I can talk with this guy directly, if I really wanted to. Because, you know, now I've got his name, Adam Jackson Fedora. So let's just put this into Google. And we can see that here he's a principal software engineer at Red Hat, so it's probably the same guy. And you know, we all know that Red Hat email just is just first name last name at redhat.com, usually. But it's rough when you sit there and look at it from like the perspective of somebody on the other end of that receives that kind of feedback, and it's just like, that's not constructive by any means whatsoever. And in fact, I've seen several developers, you know, just outright stop, just leave. I think a primary example of this would be Ikey Doherty, of which, you know, his story is a little weird. He's the guy that initially created like the Solus project, but when he spun up Solus, he just kept spinning up more and more projects, getting more and more involved in all these wonderful things, and you know, he was stepping into stages of burnout. And you know, he was a very popular name back in 2017, 2018. He was a big name kind of guy. And then it got him to the point where he's just up and left, disappeared. And he's probably not the only case of that ever happening with. There was like a JavaScript developer that just outright deleted his entire project because he just got sick and tired of dealing with it. And honestly, I understand that we shouldn't have to pay for the software. We appreciate that the software is provided to us for free. But obviously, it's come down to this point where it's just like the donation model that we've been using for the past 30 years, it's just not working. Just straight up not. And I hate that. I hate that we had to come up with something like, say, the ethical software movement, which they've lost a lot of steam. But you know, they raised some pretty good points when it came around to like monetization. And then I've ever since that movement came around and both spun up and spun down, I've seen like licenses come out that were just like customly submitted licenses, something like Conca.io, which is a world building website that, you know, they provide all their entire infrastructure. They provide their entire stack on GitHub in a Docker container. But there's a license on there that says that, hey, this is a permissible software license, except you're not allowed to sell my software. And you know, it's a struggle. It really is. Just like just trying to like come up with a solution that, you know, aligns with the ideals of both the open source and the free software movements, because they are different movements. They are not the same thing. But we need to come up with a solution, and I'm just curious what your guys' solution would be, if because it's obvious that the donation model, as much as we all want it to be good, it's just not good enough. It really isn't. Anyways, guys, I'm out of here.